If you clicked on this video, it's probably because you want to use your phone a little bit less. If you're like me, you probably have already tried a lot of things to break this habit. Maybe putting your phone in another room, downloading one of those apps, changing your screen time limits. But the thing that no one tells you about using your phone less is that this is not just a game of willpower. We as humans are very smart. We scroll on our phone because it feels good. It gives us quick dopamine hits. And every time we go on our phones, it's like we get a little reward. And the way to stop scrolling and actually start living your life is not just by putting your phone in another room. It's about finding activities that you actually enjoy so that you can retrain your brain to get satisfaction from something else. If you're feeling burnt out, exhausted, overstimulated, or just looking for some ways to get your spark back, I put together 15 of my favorite hobbies separated in 4 categories: for the curious, for the creative, for the homebody, and for the outdoorsy, so that you have a list of hobbies that will meet you where you're at. If you're new here, my name is JC, and some people call me the certified hobby girl. I post all about simple, easy ways to improve your mental health, and a huge way that I have done that for myself is by finding hobbies. Hobbies have truly made me more interesting, more confident, more gentle on myself, more playful, and really have just given me my personality back. So I'm getting rid of hot girl summer. I think that this video is the perfect starter pack for soft girl summer so that you can figure out what you actually like to do and how to spend your time instead of just scrolling on your phone. Okay, my first section is for hobbies that will stimulate your brain. This idea is leisure research. I feel like we all have such a bad connotation of research from our days in school, where we had to write research papers on things that we didn't care about. So I'm inviting you to reclaim this in your adult life. Pick any topic that inspires you. Honestly, just use your curiosity like a map. Any question that comes up, use it to do a deep dive spiral. You can start anywhere with this. I love psychology and neuroscience, so most of my deep dives are on this topic, but really the world is your oyster here. I can do a whole video on this, but if you're newer to research, how I usually start out is just finding different articles, podcasts, books, websites on the subject so that I can start to dig in, and then I'll start to find like the main thinkers in this space and see if I can go through their content. Usually I'll take notes using Notion, but a lot of people like to use Obsidian for this, and I'm trying out a new software that I just found called Tana so that you can link different concepts together. I've used this app called MindMeister to make a mind map of everything that I've learned. If I'm on YouTube, I usually make a playlist of the videos that I'm finding so that I can save them together, or if I'm on a different platform, I'll usually bookmark them in a folder or link them to a Notion doc so that I can go back to them. I just start to create a huge aggregate of all of my research so that when I'm in the mood to go down a deep dive spiral, everything is all there for me. Take notes however you'd like. I like to use Notion, but a lot of people also like Obsidian to be able to link concepts together. Of course, you can just use a good old paper and pencil and write your notes out that way. My second idea is to get back into reading, but not just any reading. I think that specifically fantasy, dystopian, sci-fi books are amazing for just lighting your brain up and helping you to think in different ways. I really love books that have good world building. I have been reading Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson for the past year and a half, and it has just been increasing my imagination and creativity in ways that I could never even describe. I was someone in the past that just only read self-help and nonfiction books, and I feel like this really comes from our need to be productive and our inability to do anything that doesn't have a certain output to it. So if this is you, I really encourage you to get back into reading just for fun. Let yourself exist in someone else's world for a bit. If you're having trouble starting a reading habit, it's probably because you're trying to read books that you're not actually interested in. Challenge yourself to pick literally any book, even if you choose it just for the cover. Put no pressure on yourself to be productive or to read a certain amount, and just see where it takes you, because there is no better feeling than having a book that you just cannot wait to go home and read. My next idea is to create hyper-specific playlists, and really the key here is just on hyper-specific. You can make hyper-specific itineraries or collages, anything that just requires you to put a little bit more thought and intention into what you're doing. I love playlists though as the medium because I feel like it is so low energy and easy for anyone to do, and I think there's something really fun about being a curator. It's almost like going on a scavenger hunt. The joy of finding new music can really be looked at like a creative outlet. You can pick any theme or topic or era and then just start to slowly build this playlist over time in a way that perfectly captures whatever you set out the playlist theme to be. So simple, but it's so fun. And then you have a fun playlist that you can play at any time after this. Okay, moving into my creative category. This is good if you feel like your mind is buzzing, but you want something to do with your hands and you just want a way to get into flow state without the pressure. One of my favorite hobbies that I've started in the past year is junk journaling. You may have seen this in my other videos, but junk journaling is basically like becoming a little forager throughout your week and collecting items that you might normally throw away, things like receipts or tickets or food wrappers, and using those to create something completely different in a scrapbook format. I have so many different spreads of these, and it can really look however you want. There are no rules how to do this. Just save your items throughout the week or the month and then use them to create a spread like this. The spread has a receipt and a business card from a place I went to. It has a food wrapper on it from something. I also think junk journaling is a really good way to keep cards that you've gotten. I am someone who is so sentimental, and I have kept every single card that I have ever received, but instead of just keeping them in a drawer or a box, and it's just so cute to look back on your memories like this. My next hobby is to get into coloring. I know all my cozy girls are very into this. I love this coloring book by Coco Yo called Cozy Friends, and they have so many different versions of this. They just have all of these little cozy house images. I started making this one of these cute little characters, ton of different markers and colored pencils and crayons that I have that I keep on hand, but this is just such a relaxing way to wind down at the end of the day, or if you're overstimulated during your workday, you can just sit down in your bed or on your couch, take out whatever you want to draw with. A tip for this is that some of these papers tend to be a little bit thin. This one came with a little wax paper that you can put under so that the colors don't bleed through, but you can also put a little cardboard paper or thicker paper underneath each page so that the colors don't bleed through. If you don't have a coloring book, I've also found a lot of digital versions of this. There's this app called Lake, L-A-K-E, on the iPad. If you have an Apple Pencil or a stylus, this is a great alternative option that you can bring anywhere with you and that needs no supplies. I love this app because there is ASMR sounds when you're coloring, so it actually feels like you're using a real marker or pencil, and they have so many cute designs, so definitely go check that one out. Next is beading or using a watercolor set. I love this watercolor set that I found from Grabby because it comes with watercolor pens that you can just fill up with water, and then you can just easily take this with you wherever you go, and you don't need any additional water. You can just drip the water into the colors and then you are good to go. I love when my hobbies come in a cute little box like this. These are some of the beads that I have to make bracelets, and get nostalgic from when I was little and I used to make bracelets at camp, but I can confirm that as an adult, making bracelets still really feels so satisfying, and if you want to make a lot of them, you could always donate them to hospitals or different charities or give them to your friends so that you don't just have all of these bracelets lying around. My next creative hobby is one of my favorites, and that is making a mood board or a vision board. You can do this either physically or digitally. I love to make them actually on my iPad. I use Pinterest and then this app called Shuffles that perfectly integrates with your Pinterest board, but basically you can just use that app to cut out different things and overlay them like you would a collage. You can also use Canva for this, which I used to make one of my vision boards this year. I feel like that gives you a lot more optionality, especially if you don't have all the supplies and all the magazines to cut out different pictures from. But if you have the supplies, making a physical collage is always a lot of fun. I just went to an art cafe in New York this weekend and I made this physical collage, which I haven't done in a really long time, and it just felt so fun. I completely got lost in the moment. I really find that doing something with your hands is such a good way to stay off your phone because you truly feel distracted. Like you don't have the urge to pick up your phone so many times when you're physically making something. Okay, my next category is for my low energy home buddies that just want something that feels really cozy and doesn't require a lot of effort. And my first favorite hobby in this realm is cozy gaming. And before you say I'm not a gamer, just stick with me for a second. I really believe that there is a game for everyone. That's like saying that you're not a reader just because you don't like one genre. There are cozy, mystery, adventure games. There are so many different ways that you could game, and there's also so many different platforms. So I absolutely love my Nintendo Switch, but you can also play them on your computer, and there's also a lot of iPhone, iPad games using things like Apple Arcade, where you can try out gaming without needing to spend a lot of money on a device. Some of my favorite cozy games are things like Wildflowers, Ooblets, Animal Crossing, Harvest Moon, Disney Dreamlight Valley, and a lot of these games I know Disney Dreamlight Valley and also Wildflowers you can play on Apple Arcade too. You can even buy really inexpensive Bluetooth controllers that are like $15 or $20 that connect with your iPad or your iPhone, which I would say is a really good way to start trying out cozy gaming if you don't want to buy a device first. The reason why I love cozy gaming as a category is because there is no pressure to do anything. A lot of the games have quests and things that can keep you entertained, but also you can just like run around in this world that they've created and just kind of feel like you're in a utopia. You get to build a character and build a house and usually decorate your space. Ever since I was little, I really just believe that there is no better feeling than starting a new game. My next idea is to get into Legos again. Yes, you might have done this when you were a kid, but there is something about this as an adult that is just so fun. I just built this bonsai tree Lego with my partner. We love Lego, and we also went to the Lego store and built these mini figs that I have resting underneath this tree. I don't know about you, but I feel like Legos are kind of a brain off hobby because I can just sit there and follow the directions step by step. I really don't have to think much about it, but I can still use my hands, and I just love building things. I love building furniture. I love putting things together. I love figuring out where things go. So I think Legos is a perfect option for that. On the same line of thinking, my next idea is to get into doing puzzles. I was never someone really that loved puzzles when I was little, but doing puzzles as an adult has me addicted. I don't know if you feel like this, but at first I didn't really see the draw about puzzles, but then won this year. I was obsessed with it. I had it laid out on my coffee table, and every day the first thing I did when I woke up was go and try to do the puzzle. And if I was working during the day and I needed a little break, instead of going on my phone, I would just try to fill out the next part of the puzzle, and I feel like it kept drawing me back in and gave me something that I could just start and stop whenever I wanted throughout the day. So it felt like a really good low barrier to entry hobby when I needed something throughout the week instead of going on my phone. The next idea for my home buddies is trying something like diamond painting or color by number. I feel like these ones are not necessarily creative because it tells you exactly what to do, but they are still really relaxing and helps to soothe your nervous system. And again, if you're someone that feels pressure that you're not going to do something right, or you feel like you can't do something like coloring because you're going to mess it up, I feel like this is a very good entry into the hobby world because you really can't mess it up. I like to think of this like sparkly coloring, and it really just gives you that dopamine hit when you finish a section or you just see your project start to slowly build over time. That gives you like a satisfying, sustaining dopamine rather than the quick hits that you get on your phone. Okay, my next category is for the outdoorsy, and my first idea is to go for themed walks. You could either do this by going on a color walk or an album walk. A color walk is basically where you pick one color and then you just start to see it appear everywhere. It really feels like magic, but the reason that this happens is because it turns on your brain's reticular activating system, which is basically your brain's filtering system. There's so much stimuli in the world around you all the time. When you start to put your intention on something, your brain will start to look for patterns in your environment to pull that out to you. Sometimes I try to challenge myself and do like a really weird color that I think I'm not going to see. And then once I just set that intention, that's my color for the walk, I see it everywhere. And it's like a really fun game of I Spy that makes you feel really present and grounded and connected to the world around you. I love to do this in spring and summer because it's a good way to be outside, but you still have like some intention to your walk. Another option to the themed walk is the album walk, which is to pick either your hyper-specific playlist that you made from the beginning of this video, or to pick an album that you want to do start to finish, and then just challenge yourself to play it and put your phone away and just immerse yourself in your walk. Maybe take a new route or go find a new part of town that you can walk in, and just let that set the whole mood for your walk. Okay, I love a theme, so the next one is a themed thrift quest. This is where you can create a character or an era or a vibe that you want to go for and give yourself a budget. And the budget is important because I feel like the constraints really turn on your brain's ability to be creative. Go to a thrift store either by yourself or with a friend and try to recreate this whole character or vibe, finding different shirts or outfits or accessories, and just see all the different ways that you can recreate that look. Okay, my next idea for how you can be outside this summer and still do your hobbies is to start a little garden. Even if you just get some plants that you keep inside of your apartment, or if you have more space outside and you can grow some herbs or some vegetables or some fruits, tending to something, putting your hands in the soil, watching your plants grow over time is really a nourishing way to connect with the outdoors. And if you're growing food or herbs, try to make some new recipes with them. I live in an apartment in New York City, and unfortunately I don't have access to a garden, but I am dreaming for the day when I can create my own little garden outside. But for now, I will settle on doing little farmers market walks or dates, which is another thing that you can do if you live in the city, just going to the farmers market each week and picking out some new items that you can make a new recipe with, and just adding a little bit of novelty into your week. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You can really just work with what you have here. You don't have to spend a lot of time or money. So any way that you can interact with plants or gardening or farmers markets is such a fun spring or summer activity. My last one is to have a little themed picnic or craft picnic, either solo or with your friends, and doing some of the hobbies that I mentioned before, like watercolor or beading or junk journaling, and just taking all of your supplies outside and doing them on a picnic blanket. Bring your favorite drinks and snacks snacks, really just romanticize the whole thing. You can tie everything together here. You can use your hyper-specific playlist, your crafts, your book from before. I love finding any and all ways to be outside, especially in the nicer weather months, because I just think it is so good for your mental health. So whether you theme your picnic or you do a little craft on your picnic, I feel like this is just a summer essential that you need to have on your bucket list. Okay, I have so many more ideas like this, but I wanted to start out with giving you guys 15 actionable, easy to start hobbies that you can pretty much do with no skill, low cost, low energy to get you started. You do not have to change your whole entire life to feel better. I promise that even just integrating 5 or 10 minutes of these hobbies into your week will really, really help you to start to get your spark back and decrease your dependency on solely getting dopamine just from your phone. Let me know some of your favorite hobbies to do down below. I love, love, love hearing from you guys and hearing all of your creative ideas. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe for more cozy soft girl summer mental health tips that can help you just live a more meaningful, playful, and gentle life. I love you guys so, so much. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you guys in the next video.